What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of review for Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. This is episode 5, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
In my opinion, this episode really, I think, brings the full circle the storyline. If people have watched the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie, because this, I think, pretty much the ending of this flashback arc will definitely lead into the events of the Zero film.
Yeah, because this episode is pretty much just the origins of Geto as sort of like becoming a villain, or, just why he became, I guess technically like the bad guy of the series.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
and
it's mostly it's mostly because of what happened, by the end of the last episode. Pretty much like in a way, like it slowly eats away at him, and you can really see it. Um, you know, you can really just see how his look when when he literally hears like the clapping noise over and over and over again.
yeah, he was like, apparently that really, I guess, stuck with him was after, of course, Rico's death and all those people just like clapping about it. Like I think it definitely like messed with him quite a bit,
Yeah,
especially because it just kind of contributes to his eventual like outlook on the world, and we kind of learn his, like, of course I think we did know his motivations before this, but we kind of, because we get things from his perspective in this episode, we kind of get a better idea, I guess, as to why he wants to do what he does, or eventually wants the world to be the way he thinks it should be, I guess.
yeah.
Uh,
It's mostly also due to the fact that Gojo has become so powerful since his fight with Toji that he's been taking a lot more solo missions lately, leaving Geto to feel a lot more isolated since that time. And of course, Shoko is not really around all that much either. So he's pretty much like, he he pretty much goes about like, just mainly thinking about everything that has happened, like, during that last mission against Toji. So, so I think, what was it? He, after talking with one of his underclassmen, Haibara, who's going off on a mission on his own, he meets, I think, one of the special great sorcerers, Yuki Tsukomo. Um, Pretty much like, she gets into a conversation with Geto, and Geto, uh, of course, reveals his desire to rid the world of cursed spirits. But of course, like, he wants a world filled with, like, just pretty much filled with just sorcerers.
yeah, I mean, they kind of, I guess they have a conversation about like um, how the cursed spirits come about, and basically it's, she says that it's because of the due to people's, like, what was it, just normal people and their, was it negative emotions or something like that, that like cause these cursed spirits to appear, and then they eventually come to the conclusion that if these, if normal people didn't exist, then therefore, I guess, these cursed spirits wouldn't exist in the first place. And if, the world was only full of jujutsu sorcerers, who apparently the cursed spirits do not come from, then they would no longer be a problem. So, of course, therefore, Geto comes to the conclusion that we need to rid the world of all, like, just regular people and have it be filled with just jujutsu sorcerers, because then we wouldn't have, I guess, any cursed spirits running around.
Yeah, and of course, soon after that conversation, I think, what was it? The guy who was talking to earlier in the episode ends up getting killed during that mission. It was Hypera. After Hypera is killed during a mission, I think Geto is sent off to another village where he meets these two young sorcerer girls, who are being abused in the village. If people
Yeah.
don't know who these two girls are, these two characters actually did appear in Jujutsu Kaisen Zero as teenage girls.
Yeah, it kind of course, it ties into that flashback that we saw in Jujutsu Kaisen Zero. And these are the two girls that we see also appear in Jujutsu Kaisen Zero as I guess villains of the movie. Um, so it was kind of interesting to see that and how like just to get more information about what happened there. Um, because apparently the people that um asked Ghetto to come and I guess get rid of these two girls because I forget exactly why. Like I guess because they're cursed or something. So they basically just want them to be eliminated. Uh, Ghetto, of course, has eventually decides that he's just going to burn down the entire village that the girls, I guess, reside in, and just kill all the people there with
Yeah.
cursed spirits.
Yeah. So, uh, I mean, with that, with that, like Geto gets immediately branded a curse user by Jujutsu High and is being sentenced to death, shocking Gojo. And of course, oh yeah. So eventually, both after Shoko ends up meeting Geto in the middle of Shibuya, she gives Gojo word of where he is. And then, of course, once Gojo meets with Geto, they get into an argument um, over what Geto has done. But not only that, of course, Geto, of course, reveals his plan to, we also find out that Geto also killed his own parents after that whole incident in the village. And of course, Geto reveals his plans to, of course, rid the world of non-sorcerers, where, with the sorcerers just pretty much inhabiting the entire world after this.
Yeah, and of course Gojo Kid is just shocked by this, and he stands there for a minute just shocked, and it tries to go out, and eventually tries to go after Geto, but it's too late. Geto has already kind of disappeared into the crowd. Um, so yeah, and then of course we see Geto, um, giving like a speech somewhere, and just like uh, I don't know if he was just like trying to well. I don't know if he
Yeah,
was maybe trying to recruit people to his cause or something, but um,
he goes back to the Star
all
Religious
right,
group.
yeah.
So it's the same location, which same place where he left. Where he met all those people just clapping nonstop. So he goes over to take over the place as this new leader. Initially, they all reject his takeover, but of course, Ghetto just immediately kills one person and forcibly takes the leadership role.
Yeah. Um, that's kind of where we end things off with this
Not
flashback.
not only that,
Yeah.
Gojo also meets the young Megumi as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we do get a scene with him meeting with Megumi and talking about like his father, but Megumi just says like I don't really know my father. And I guess he doesn't really care about what happens to him. But it just kind of makes sense because if, his father does seem like he or at least like when he was alive, he didn't really seem to care much about what happened with his son.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, technically, Toji did care about his son. It's just like he wanted to protect Megumi from the Zenin clan,
yeah.
and so of course before his death, he makes one last request to Gojo to protect his son from being taken into the Zenin clan. So of course Gojo uh, abides by that promise and decides to take in Megumi into Jujutsu High soon after that.
Yeah. And of course we see Gojo waking up from well, I guess in a way he was like, from his dream. Uh and we see Yuji and Megumi and Nobara just staring down at him. So we finally come back to the present and back to the main cast. Uh and yeah, this is pretty much the end of the hidden inventory arc. Um and I guess now in the next episode they'll probably be starting the Shibuya arc,
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we're not going to get that until
which
the end of this
yeah,
month because
yeah, because they're taking a break.
because they decided to delay it. And I think they're going to show like three separate recaps. One with Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, which is of course the film. season one, and then of course they're doing a recap of the hidden inventory arc after that.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I thought this was a actually pretty decent story arc. I mean, it is weird kind of jumping around in time so much because, we had the first season, which followed Yuji and all the other characters, and then we kind of shift focus to, I think it was Yuta from Zero. And then in this one, in season two, we have Gojo's backstory and the backstory of Gojo and Geto. And now we're finally getting back to the present.
Yeah,
So it is a little bit weird, kind of, what they're doing, but I kind of like it because it expands sort of expands the lore of the world, and what's going on with that and Jujutsu High, and what happened with some of the side characters, like but I do kind of want to get back to the main character, what is supposed to at least be the main cast, like Yuji and the others. Um,
yeah.
because I mean, it was interesting learning more about Geto, or not, well, Geto and Gojo, and also some of the other characters. But I do feel like we should, shift focus back to Yuji and some and the other characters as well.
Yeah. I do feel like that this whole inventory arc is more of an extension to the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero storyline, because it does
Yeah,
connect to the whole storyline with Gojo and Geto, with whatever happened to those two by the end of that film. Of course, it's left ambiguous as to what happened to Geto by the end of that film, because last time we saw him, he was just like he was like barely alive by the end of that film, but he somehow comes back. Um, by the time the original series comes around, apparently, he's healed up and has this gigantic stone scar over his forehead.
yeah. I mean, I guess they could potentially explain that in the Shibuya arc.
Yeah,
Uh,
possibly, but yeah, I am glad that we are eventually going to get back to get back uh to the original storyline, since season one ended. Ever since then, we've been getting mainly just flashback stories. Of course, Jujutsu Kaisen Zero we saw a little over a year ago, and of course we get the hidden inventory arc, which is a flashback even further back.
yeah. But yeah, I thought this was a pretty good way to end things off with this kind of short flashback arc. I don't really have too much else to say about the episode, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
It was it was like a fantastic arc. I thought,
Yeah,
even though, I would have liked to see Yuji and the others again. I think this is like a necessary piece of storytelling that, and of course, people need to understand what happened to these characters beforehand, and what Geto's motivations were into why he became what he did.
well, and I also think it's probably necessary to set up a conflict that happens in the Shibuya arc. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.